We have reset the stage and are welcoming our next guest, Xuefei Yang, who was born in Beijing following the Cultural Revolution, an era where Western music and instruments were banned. The guitar, of course, is a Western instrument, so it was nearly impossible for this young lady to study the instrument in China. Thus, she became the first guitarist from China to study classical guitar in the West, and her career took off from a very early age. In fact, composer Joaquin Rodrigo attended her concert debut when she was just 14 years old. Since then, Xuefei Yang has made the list of top 6 classical guitarists in BBC Music magazine. She's one of 3 classical guitarists to make the top 50 women guitarists in Guitar Player magazine. And Xuefei Yang is here today courtesy of Portland Classic Guitar. She'll be performing tomorrow night at Marylhurst University. Welcome, Xuefei. And she takes the stage today to begin with Claude Debussy's The Girl with the Flaxen Hair. Guitarist Xuefei Yang with Claude Debussy's The Girl with the Flaxen Hair. You just melted our hearts. Thank you for playing that for us.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
I love that you chose Debussy. It's a big Debussy year.
Yes, the anniversary. And also, he's one of my favorite composers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
unfortunately, he never wrote a piece for the guitar.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but I found this beautiful transcription made by Bream, and I thought it works very well on the guitar.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. The anniversary Xuefei is talking about is the 100th anniversary of Claude Debussy's death. And this year we'll be hearing a lot of Debussy in honor of that great man's composer. I have to ask, though, you mentioned that you love Debussy, didn't write anything for the guitar, really. Was guitar your first instrument?
Yes, it was, but it was a coincidence. It wasn't supposed to be my first
What
instrument.
do you mean?
Well, my parents wanted me to learn accordion at the beginning.
Really?
Because the accordion was the most popular instrument in those days. There were lots of choirs in China, and the accordion was the cheaper version of piano and a portable piano, so
Sure.
to accompany choirs. So.
But you said no, I want to play guitar.
No, actually, I didn't even know what a guitar was. It just my mom talked to my music teacher in my primary school to teach me accordion, but she was about to organize a guitar group, so they just threw me into the guitar group. And at that time, I had never saw this instrument.
Right,
I
because
didn't
these
know what it
Western
was.
instruments weren't really prevalent then, right?
Yeah, people knew about piano, and they knew about violin, accordion, obviously. But guitar was a novelty. There were some people playing guitar, but they were not regarded as nice people. I mean, guitar was seen as a hooligan instrument, not nice people playing, and it's not serious. So even some of my parents' colleagues, because my parents were teachers, some of my parents' colleagues asked them, why you let Xuefei to learn guitar? It seems not very nice.
Well, you appear to be a very nice human being.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. I know you've got some Chinese music in just a few minutes to share with us, and that's really important to you. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk about this next composer you have for us next, which is a Spanish composer. We're used to hearing the guitar used in Spanish music,
that's right.
In fact, that's kind of how you first came to our attention here at All Classical Portland. It was one of your very early albums called 40 Degrees North,
yes.
I think, which kind of celebrates that line of latitude between China and Spain. Yeah. So, and this particular composer, Manuel de Falla, is kind of related in some ways.
Debussy, that's why I chose him, because Debussy and Falla were very good friends, and Debussy helped promoting his music. And Falla wrote, the only piece Falla wrote for guitar is Homage to Debussy.
Oh, really?
After his death, a French organization asked Falla to write a piece as a tribute to Debussy, and he chose to write for guitar.
And will you be playing that tomorrow night at your Portland Classic Guitar
Yes,
concert?
I'm going to play that Homage tomorrow.
Okay, let me mention that concert. Xuefei Yang is performing at Marylhurst University's St. Anne's Chapel tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Tonight, actually, you're giving a master class at Marylhurst as well. You can find out more at portlandclassicguitar.com. Okay, how about some of that Spanish music now? The Miller's Dance?
The Miller's Dance from Falla's ballet, Three-Cornered Hat. I chose that piece because I thought people probably will recognize it.
Yeah, it's a little spicy too.
And also you can see the sound of guitar in Falla's work. It's quite often the sound of guitar. You can tell the sound of guitar in Falla's work. So
excellent.
This piece is such an example, I think.
Fantastic. This is Xuefei Yang on Thursdays at 3. Xuefei Yang performed Manuel de Falla's The Miller's Dance from the Three-Cornered Hat. She is performing tomorrow night at St. Anne's Chapel at Marylhurst University, courtesy of Portland Classic Guitar. She's doing some manipulation right now with her guitar in preparation for her last piece, which she's sharing with us today on Thursdays at 3, a song that comes from your native China. Can I interrupt you while you're doing that?
Oh, I just retune the guitar.
You're retuning the guitar?
Yes. When we play different repertoires, particularly arrangements, we need to retune the guitar.
Okay.
And you know, the lutenists, they have this saying they spend half of their life tuning their instrument. I think guitarists are close.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so while you do that, are you able to tell me a little bit about this sword dance that you're going to play for us next?
Yes, it's a contemporary piece, but based on an ancient theme. So the composer, he's still alive. I believe he's the principal of a conservatoire in Tianjin. And the piece was inspired from a very famous poem written by this poet called Du Fu. He's the most significant poet from China, from Tang Dynasty, which is about 1300 years ago. And he wrote this very long poem, describe a famous lady dancer doing this sword dance, and she was very famous both at the court and at the society. So the music provokes the spirit and the movement, the essence of such a dance. The piece was written for a Chinese instrument called liu qin. Liu qin? Yes, so it's this big four-stringed plucked instrument.
Kind of like a mandolin?
Yes, and they use pick as well.
Got it.
So it's kind of the signature piece on that instrument. I thought that I have two more strings, so liu qin, and that piece fits quite well on my instrument.
Well, I've heard some performance by the liu qin, and it has a very different tone.
Very high.
Yes,
and
very
sharp.
Yes, but also some different techniques as well. Do you employ different techniques of playing when you play this piece on the guitar?
Right. I actually don't play any of Chinese instruments, but I grew up with the sound, and because I went to the Central Conservatoire of Music for 10 years, and there were lots of Chinese instrumentalists.
Sure.
So I heard all of these sounds, and I have transcribed pieces from pipa, the Chinese guitar, guqin, guzheng, and concertos. So I'm kind of quite familiar with the sound. So I don't really have the same technique as what they have, so I can't play their instrument. But I have the sound, so I try to imitate, but also add something. I always believe that you have to add something when you're doing transcription. You cannot 100% imitate. So partly I try to imitate that sound, but I try to add some sound from my instrument. And so I kind of invent a sort of technique. We wouldn't be using it for playing other classical pieces, and I use it for playing these pieces.
What will we hear in this one that may be resident to the other instruments?
Probably the double tremolo. It wasn't in the original piece.
But double tremolo?
Okay. Yes. So, but I did it when I transcribed the piece from pipa, which they have the double tremolo.
Got it.
So I kind of steal that technique and put it in here.
Do all of your concerts contain Chinese music?
Oh, I try. I mean, of course, if I play a concert for Bach festival, say, or Mozart festival, I mean, actually, I don't have really Mozart to play, but this kind of theme, the festival, then you play repertoire to fit in that theme. If it's a recital that's completely out of my choice, I would usually put at least one or maybe two Chinese pieces, because for me, it's important. It's music from my cultural background, and it's when I get older, this becomes even more important to represent something from my cultural background. It's very important, and also I think for the instrument, started from Segovia, Julian Bream, John Williams, all these guitar masters, they all have done great contribution to the repertoire of the instrument. So I think that we should carry on doing it. So I thought that guitar really suited to play Chinese music, because we have so many plucked instruments in China, and also the guitars can be traced back from Middle East, which is not that Western. Right. So I think that there are a lot I can do, and and during the process, I constantly feel struck by the possibility and of my instrument and the sound world, the different musical world that I can explore on my instrument. So
tomorrow night's concert has some Chinese music, some Spanish music,
Brazilian music,
Brazilian music, fantastic,
and some classical Bach and some opera adaptations. So a big variety.
Nice.
As when I can choose program, I try to give a big variety.
I love it. All right, you can find out more about Xuefei's concert at portlandclassicguitar.com. Xuefei will wrap up her set today in promotion of those concerts with the Sword Dance. We are live in the Roger O. Doyle Performance Studio for Thursdays at 3.